Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I'm Darshan Usman. The top stories. National Assembly contemplates legislation to sanction non-compliant states on new minimum wage. 8 dead after heavy rains in Côte d'Ivoire. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa to unveil inclusive coalition cabinet. Details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that the National Assembly has resolved to ensure states, local governments and organized private sector stop defaulting in the payment of the approved minimum wage. We understand that the National Assembly may also consider seizing allocations of states and local governments that fail to comply with the new minimum wage. This is as the federal legislature announced plans to include a clause that will provide clear sanctions for defaulters of the new minimum wage bill that will be passed after receiving the wage award bill from President Bola Tinubu. The federal government and labor unions have been at odds over the new minimum wage, with union leaders demanding 250,000 naira. Meanwhile, the federal government and the organized private sector countered with an offer of 62,000 naira, while state governors maintained that they could not sustain a minimum wage higher than 60,000 naira. Away from that, President Bola Tinubu has called for stronger collaboration between Nigeria's law enforcement agencies and the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation in the fight against cybercrime, terrorism, and other related crimes. Now, according to a statement issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajurin Galale, President Tinubu urged this on Friday during a meeting at the State House in Abuja with FBI Director Christopher Ashere. President Tinubu characterized the visit of the FBI Director and his team to Nigeria as a sign of the long-standing partnership between Nigeria and the United States in combating financial crimes and terrorism. He stated that his administration is diligently striving to eradicate terrorism, cybercrimes, and sextortion. Ahead of the Eid al-Kabir celebrations, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has assured the general public of Nigeria Police Force's sustained efforts in tackling crimes and enhancing public safety and security across the country. This assurance comes as the IGP directed commissioners of police, along with their supervisory assistant inspectors general of police, to strategically configure the security architecture in their areas of responsibility for robust and responsive policing. He advised the public to adhere to all security advisories and traffic regulations during the celebrations to avoid any incidents that may mar the festive mood.
The Inspector General of Police of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, PhD, MPM, has assured the general public of the Nigeria Police Force sustained efforts in tackling crimes and enhancing public safety and security across the country. This assurance comes as the Inspector General of Police directed commissioners of police in all the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, along with their supervisory assistant inspectors general of police, to strategically configure the security architecture in their areas of responsibility for robust and responsive policing ahead of the 2024 Eid al-Kabir celebrations. The IGP has mandated zonal AIGs and state command CPs to deploy human and operational assets to conduct confidence building and crime prevention patrols of major highways, in residential and industrial areas, at vulnerable points, places of worship, other public recreational places, and around all critical national infrastructure.
The Nigeria police have raised an alarm over alleged irregularities and corruption regarding the recently released names of successful candidates by the Police Service Commission in the 2022-2023 Police Constables Recruitment Exercise. Now, according to a statement signed by Olumuyiwa Adejobi, the force public relations officer. The list posted on the Police Service Commission webpage contains several names of selected applicants who did not participate in the recruitment process because they did not even apply. The statement claims that several names of candidates who failed the physical screening exercise, the computer-based test, or both are on the public list. The statement goes on to say that the most concerning claims are those of money transactions and dishonest behavior that resulted in outcomes where unqualified individuals have been shortlisted. Still in Nigeria, the growing trend of substance misuse, particularly among adolescents and young adults, have reached alarming proportions, prompting widespread concern among authorities and communities alike. Details in this report. News Central's Chidinma Ona filed it.
Nigeria, a nation known for its vibrant culture and youthful population, faces a serious public health challenge: drug addiction and substance abuse. A report by the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime in Nigeria, released in October 2022, revealed an alarming statistic. An estimated 14.3 million Nigerians between the ages of 15 and 64 struggle with drug abuse.
It affects your education, it affects your family, your relationship with your colleagues, your career. If you're a 9 to 5, it affects your productivity. If you're a career person, it affects your career growth. Whatever you're doing, you basically become useless. You become a menace to yourself, to the community. We have to find a way. We have to find a way, because the numbers are actually worrisome. The numbers of people involved, the numbers of victims. There's no way you want to pull out from doing drugs and you're still hanging around friends. If you're having a friend who is doing drugs and you are still hanging around a person and you're saying you're recovering, you are just deceiving yourself.
Drug abuse continues to be a serious challenge for communities across Nigeria. In response, Nigerian law enforcement, led by the police, is launching new initiatives to crack down on the distribution and use of illegal drugs.
If you want to call it that catch them young, not to use illicit drug, that is just it. And we want to make sure that this message goes around from school to community and to our society. You can see union members from various garages, which means the union member too, they are saying no to use of drug because so many drivers are in use of this illicit drug. That is why we invite all stakeholders that we have to do something. And you can imagine, all of them, they buy into the idea and they are ready to shun use of illicit drug.
Doctors, counselors and therapists also play a pivotal role in providing emotional and psychological support to individuals and families affected. They advocate a healthier environment and alternative recreational activities for people.
One of the reasons why we find a lot of young people stray into that kind of drug addiction is because there's nothing for them to do in the first place, idleness in the first place. A lot of young people of these days are too idle. They have nothing doing. Many of them come out from school, they don't have work to do. Many of them learn work. At the end of their learning, they don't have money to start. And then even those who want to start, the facilities are not there. There's no light to do their work. And all the things around the society tend to support these children, so they become idle. And of course, you know that when people are idle, they become susceptible to doing a lot of vices. When you stigmatize people, you make them feel bad, because rather than help them recover, sometimes you're making them feel that they are not wanted. What they are doing is wrong. Some of them maybe did it, out of mistakes or out of whatever. So what they need now is recovery, not stigmatization. When you stigmatize people, you are not helping them to get out of the situation. You can make their situation get worse.
Nigeria faces a growing drug abuse crisis that threatens the health of its young people. Immediate and coordinated action is essential to effectively combat this issue.
Thank you, Chidinma, for that report. Now, we've been able to reconnect with our guest on the new minimum wage, and NAS, that's the National Assembly, likely proposing season allocations of defaulting states and local government areas. And we have joining us at the moment, we have Chidima. Okay, first of all, I'm being told that we have been able to reconnect with a convener coalition of civil society organizations for good governance, Shina Loremikon, and public affairs analyst Lucy Okonkwo. Hello and thank you for joining me at this time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. All right, let's start with you, Shina. Now, how does the proposal by the National Assembly encourage cooperation between the federal government and states to ensure timely and effective implementation of the new minimum wage?
Like it's generally said that no time is late to do the right thing. If the National Assembly wants to be awake to do the right thing, it will be a bonus for everybody. But the greatest fear is that when you look at the characters of people in the National Assembly, it's good to suggest that we will still be far away to the expectation and the dream of the labor. And as you know today, inflation has made mockery of all proposals coming from the side of government. I don't know the differences between 60,000 and 62,000 naira. If the National Assembly is coming on board, fine. But if there won't be any major differences from what we'll be hearing before, I want to wonder how we will be embracing a stable economy, a minimum wage that will be a living wage. It's so surprising when you look at the cost of living. Transportation, housing, in recent times has been increasing in an alarming rate. And this can further create social dislocation in the society. We've been hearing all sorts of things. Many states are saying that they cannot even move close to 50,000 that the federal government is proposing. I think that is unfair, that is unjust.
All right, Shina, let's hear from Lucy if she can hear me. Lucy, if you can hear me, let's throw the same question to you, about the proposal and how it would encourage the federal government and the states to be able to, pay this amount and also ensure timely and effective implementation of the new minimum wage. All right, let's go back to you, Shina. Now, Shina, beyond immediate compliance with the new minimum wage, what measures are being proposed or should be proposed to ensure long-term fiscal sustainability and compliance by these states?
First and foremost, we need to be fair and just to ourselves. The states also know what it costs to run their respective states these days. Gone are the days where you buy a car for 3-5 million. The state governors know that. It's so sad that when Labour went on strike last week, we were saying it's treasonable. I also don't know whether it's not treasonable if somebody is putting up a SUV worth over 150 million naira on a road that is not tarred, on a road that is not promoting safety. I also see that as treasonable. When a bag of rice is attracting over 75,000 naira, I don't know what we are saying. When a basket of potato or tomato is attracting over 100,000 naira, I don't know what we are saying. When you are traveling by air to Abuja, when it's costing over 200,000 naira, I don't know what we are saying. When ordinary alabuku, a tablet for pain relief, is selling for 500 naira, I don't know what we are saying. When a Panadol cannot be purchased for 200 naira, I don't know what we are saying. When you want to manage typhoid and you are spending over 9,000 naira, I don't know what we are saying. I pity people who are just starting a family. How will you cope? There is no nursery school that I know where the asking price is 40,000 naira per term. It's going to create. All
right, Shina. Now, staying on, the National Assembly. I remember the governors actually saying that if they decide to pay 60,000 naira or more, it might actually, eat into the FAC allocation and they might not have anything left for development. Now, how do you think that the National Assembly can incentivize states to proactively address wage policy issues without resorting to allocation seizures?
Okay, I know that we have many things that we have got wrong. Out of which is the state themselves not being creative to create words. The respective states, they are not creative enough to create words. When you look at a state like Enugu State, vast in landmark, their investment in agriculture is close to nil. Look at the initiative from Akwa Ibom, where they have a private airline. I imagine the states in the southwest coming together, running a airline. That will make economic to boost. I imagine some times ago, under the regime of Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, the state was producing blocks used for construction. I know that some times ago in Osun State, the state government was producing interlocking stones for road construction. And I think those are the ways the state needs to do. They need to wake up. Gone are the days where they rely on federal government allocation. They need to be creative. They need to create words. God has so
all right, now let's speak to Lucy on this. Now, Lucy, what would be a realistic and sustainable minimum wage increase that, you know, would balance workers' needs with economic stability? And that's according to economic experts. What would be a realistic one?
Even before I answer your question, I want to suggest strongly that all government in Nigeria, local government, state government, and federal government, should look at the prosperity in the textiles industry. The textiles industry, according to economic development experts, can generate a lot of employment and income, even higher than an automobile industry. Back to your question, like I said, the indexes of inflation and cost of living is known to government. The Bureau of Statistics have the cost of everything we consume in this country, be it car battery, be it tire, be it drugs, be it exercise book, be it crayon, they know it. If we are pushing anything less than 100,000 naira, we are just trying to frustrate the lower class of the society. 100,000 naira cannot take somebody from 1st of a month to 30 days as it is today in Nigeria. If you want to load a prepaid card, if you load with 1,000 or 1,500 naira, depending on where you are living, cannot last you 15 days. If you remove an average of 10,000 naira on electricity, transportation, accommodation, personal needs, before you know it, everything has dried up. So it's so painful that all the things we need to gather, the National Assembly, more than ever, needs to work with the Bureau of Statistics. They need to work with the National Commission on Wages. They need to work even with the security operatives. It's so sad that today, more than 75% of our security forces don't stay in barracks. They live among civilians.
Yes.
It's not
well, thank
safety.
you. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and speaking to us on this, Shino. We appreciate you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, the news continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Nigeria Info Generative Pre-Trained Transformer aims to revolutionize information access about Nigeria through an AI system that combines information with natural and safe interaction, creating a seamless and trustworthy bridge between technology and users. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
Lagos on Friday hosted the unveiling of the Nigeria Info Generative Pre-Trained Transformer. NIGPT is Nigeria's version of ChatGPT, but with precise set results about Nigeria for Nigerians.
The systems that are out there are not controlled by us, the information systems that are out there. And also the fact that most of this data is entered from North America. There exists a little window for, information bias. So we said, and we decided right there and then that we need to provide and democratize Nigerian-specific information and bring it to the fingertips of Nigerians.
NIGPT is a revolutionary project designed to harness the power of artificial intelligence to revolutionize various sectors. The aim is to develop sophisticated AI solutions that can be seamlessly integrated into industries such as healthcare, finance, education, and agriculture, among others.
With NIGPT, I think it shows that a local team can actually build some of these systems, train the system on the data, and give relevant culture-specific answers, which is what we need. As you saw during the demonstration, there was a difference between the ChatGPT and the NIGPT. The ChatGPT gave more general answers, NIGPT gave more specific answers.
The rise of artificial intelligence has sparked fears of widespread job displacement. Lagos State Commissioner for the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, Tumboso Alake, spoke on how AI might impact the workforce.
What AI is going to do is create new areas of value. And if people are retrained, they can get new jobs. So it was just like during the Industrial Revolution. There were a lot of people driving horse and carriages. But when cars came, people learned how to drive cars. That created new jobs. So it's the same thing I believe will happen with the advent of AI and all its antecedents.
Artificial intelligence is poised to significantly boost productivity and efficiency across various sectors. AI can automate repetitive tasks, freeing up human workers to focus on more complex areas. This powerful technology can empower Nigerians in fields like agriculture, healthcare, and finance, paving the way for a more prosperous future. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Nigeria is an import-dependent nation, yet not a shipping nation despite its huge contribution to global trade. Playing marginally in the industry, it is on record that no fewer than 90% of shipping companies owned by Nigerians have either completely shut down their operations or are barely struggling to survive. With an estimated annual cargo throughput of 150 million metric tons generated, and with freight earnings in excess of billions of dollars in her international trade transactions, 95% of this income is earned by foreigners, with job deprivation to a lot of Nigerians.
The time it takes to move cargo out of the port, it's one. By now, if we have been progressive from the previous administrations or perhaps the previous times, we should be hitting 24 hours. But what you have today is about, if you are so quick and lucky and everything flows, you should be talking about 1 week. We're talking about 1 week. Yeah, 7 days. But 8 hours should be the least. That's only when you can actually say that you are doing fine. So what are these challenges? What are these bottlenecks? It ranges from multiplicity of government agencies doing same job to the service providers like the concessionaires, talking about the terminal operators or terminal operating companies, as we wish to call them, their lackadaisical attitude, their nonchalant attitude. At times, they are just their selfishness. The shipping companies themselves, they all care about what they make and not about trade facilitations.
Find out more about how terminal operator negligence is causing delays in cargo clearance, the impact of fluctuating dollar, customs duties, drop in cargo volume, and the influx of foreigners in the freight forwarding business is affecting indigenous participation. Watch Maritime Radar on Saturday, 7 p.m. and a repeat on Sunday, 1 p.m. on News Central TV. Now to health matters, the National Biosafety Management Agency has called on the public to exercise caution over the recent cholera outbreak in some states across Nigeria. The agency's head of information and communications, Gloria Ogbaki, in a statement on Friday in Abuja, said there is need for everyone to be cautious. The statement added that the agency, in collaboration with health authorities, is actively monitoring the situation and implementing measures to contain the spread of the disease. Nigerians have also been urged to imbibe various hygiene practices such as boiling drinking water or using certified water purification methods. Now to discuss this, I'm joined by Chairman, Nigeria Medical Association Infectious Disease Committee, Enugu State, Dr. Amobi Omoha. Hello, Doctor. Thank you for joining me at this time.
Thank you for having me.
All right,
it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. All right, now, the talk about, cholera outbreak has actually been going on for a while now. Now, if you can actually speak to us and tell us what is the death toll from the cholera outbreak in Nigeria and how many people have been hospitalized so far?
As we all know that cholera is a notifiable disease. We have the first epidemic in Nigeria in the year 1972. You have had one or two outbreaks, but the one of this year hit the country. As of today, from NCDC report, the death toll have lessened about 30%, and about 1,141 has been hospitalized. So it's a case of concern for all of us as we are preparing for Sarah celebration next week.
All right, now about it being, a cause for concern for everyone, what would you say are the underlying factors that's contributing to the spread of cholera in Nigeria at the moment?
Okay. The spread of cholera is influenced by several underlying factors, particularly in regions like Nigeria, where infrastructure and public health system may be less developed. The contributing factors include water supply and sanitation issue. There's a lot of contaminated water source. People rely on untreated or poorly treated water source, such as rivers, lake, or shallow well for their water consumption. Lack of proper sewage system and practice like open defecation leading to focal contamination of water supply, which people, when consumed, will lead to the cholera disease. Another one is poor hygiene practice, inadequate hand washing. Limited access to soap and clean water prevent regular and effective hand washing. Unsafe food handling. Example, we do eat popular suya in the street, and those suyas we eat in the street, how do people prepare it? Have we imagined how those abokis you get those newspapers they used to disperse?
All right. Well, Doctor, sadly, would actually have to, wrap up the conversation here due to time. But thank you so much for speaking to us on this.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break. 8 dead after heavy rains in Côte d'Ivoire. We'll bring you details after the break. Do stay. Thank you for staying. Now, the news continues in West Africa, where flooding and landslides have killed 8 people in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, biggest city, after heavy downpours. Now, according to an updated report published by the fire service on Saturday, the fire brigade said 18 people were evacuated to hospitals. Roads were cut off as rain fell on Thursday afternoon in most areas of the city with a population of 6 million. The torrential rain that fell from Thursday afternoon to Saturday morning was around 4 times heavier than normal. The National Meteorological Service, SODEXAM, said about a quarter of the precipitation expected over the May, June, July rainy season fell in 24 hours. We head to South Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa, re-elected for a second term after his weekend ANC lost its outright majority, will announce an inclusive cabinet. Now, the ANC said Ramaphosa, who will lead what it calls a government of national unity, will announce an inclusive cabinet after the May 29 general election produced no outright winner. Congratulatory messages continued to pour in for the leader, who was re-elected as president on Friday and will be inaugurated on June 19. The National Unity Government includes the Center Right Democratic Alliance, the Zulu Nationalist Inkatha Freedom Party, and other smaller groups. Now joining us to discuss is political analyst Sipho Sipe. Hello Sipho, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me.
All right, now, what are the key implications of the new speaker and her deputy from the GNU parties, and how might their appointment influence the tone and direction of Parliament?
Ordinarily, the speaker is supposed to play a role of a neutral referee. And in the past, the speaker was accused of favoring the ruling party because the speaker came from the ruling party. Now, having a government of national unity and the speakers coming, the deputy speaker and the speaker coming from different parties, well, it reduces the element or the accusation of bias. But at the same time, there's a danger that the office of the speaker might veer towards a new bias, the bias of sustaining and protecting the government of national unity. So that is the only implication that we have. But at the moment, what it has done, it has diluted the sense of triumphalism that was associated with a party that had won an outright majority.
All right, but what does President Cyril Ramaphosa's re-election as ANC president mean for the party's leadership and its ability to implement its policy agenda?
It should be indicated that the ANC lost these elections by a major decline of about 17%. And the same ANC was being punished by the voters for failing to implement the ANC policies. And these are transformative policies. Now, with the ANC not having gotten an outright majority, it is very doubtful that it will now be in a position to implement those transformative policies that the voters of the ANC have historically supported precisely for those for advancing those policies. So we are going to see, first, you have a president who's very wounded. It's the first time that you have a president who loses 17% of electoral vote in one electoral cycle. So you're talking about the wounded president. Secondly, you're also talking about the president who must be seen to be co-governing with parties that used to be in the opposition. So you are not going to talk about somebody with a free hand. You are talking about the leadership that has one hand held at the back and the other one struggling to make a move.
Okay. Now, Sipe, how might the government of national unity, which includes the Democratic Alliance, affect the balance of power in Parliament and the ability of other parties to hold the government accountable?
Most obvious is that in the past you had all parties except the ANC in opposition. So you had a very strong opposition. Now with the Democratic Alliance and Inkatha Freedom Party being part of the government of national unity, you are talking about the dilution of opposition within, or the dilution of the ability of opposition parties to hold the government to account. So that is the weakness, that we are going to have a very somehow weaker opposition. But one must also say a number of black parties have decided to form what they call a united front. And we will see a form of robustness without the participation of the IFP and the DA.
All right, we'll see how that goes indeed. Thank you so much, Sipho Sipe, political analyst, for speaking to us on this.
You're welcome.
Now, in East Africa, a roadside bomb planted by the jihadist group Al-Shabaab has killed at least 6 soldiers, including a senior military commander in southern Somalia, with several others wounded. The blast occurred during a routine military operation near Govgadid town, some 30 kilometers from the southwestern city of Baidoa. Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-affiliated group, has claimed responsibility for the attack. Bombings and other attacks are common in the capital Mogadishu and Baidoa, although few have been recorded in recent months. On World Wrap, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he hopes a joint summit in Switzerland on how to end the war in his country will swiftly help usher in a just peace. Zelensky said at the start of the 2-day gathering that he believes participants will witness history being made at the summit.
I believe that we will witness history being made here at the summit. Thank you for your support, and may a just peace be established as soon as possible.
Peter Pellegrini, an ally of Ukraine's septic Prime Minister Robert Fico, has been sworn in as Slovakia's new president on Saturday, pledging to unite the politically polarized Central European country. Analysts have predicted Slovakia's international isolation will increase with Pellegrini as president and expect the government to crank up its pro-Russian rhetoric now that its ally is head of state. Fico, a populist who is recovering from being shot at close range on May 15th, has governed the country that has been deeply split for years between pro-European and nationalist-leaning camps.
Niekoľko rokov upozorňujem na to, že Slovensko je rozdelené vysokým mentálnym múrom, spoza ktorého na seba pokrikujú dve oddelené skupiny spoločnosti. A dnes je tento múr, žiaľ, už pokropený aj krvou. A ak k nej už nikdy nemá pribudnúť ďalšia, musíme ten múr spoločne zbúrať. Musíme mať istotu, že spravíme všetko pre dosiahnutie mieru a nikdy nedopustíme ďalšie rozširovanie vojenského konfliktu za našimi hranicami. Veď túžba po mieri je prirodzená a určite nie je oslavou agresora.
In the world of sports, Finidi George has reportedly resigned from his position as head coach of the Super Eagles. His decision came on Saturday, just days after the Nigeria Football Federation announced plans to hire a foreign technical advisor. Toyin Ibitoye, a former Eagles media officer, confirmed Finidi's resignation on his X account. Finidi was appointed head coach on April 29, 2024, succeeding Jose Pesero, whose contract had expired in February. During his brief tenure, Finidi led the team to a 1-1 draw with South Africa and a 2-1 loss to Benin Republic in the 2026 World Cup qualifying series. As of the time of this report, there has been no official statement from either Finidi or the Nigerian Football Federation regarding his resignation. Emmanuel Wanyonyi, the world silver medalist in the 800-meter, has staged a remarkable comeback at the Kenyan Olympic trials held at Nyayo National Stadium. Now, despite a fall during Friday's race, Wanyonyi surged to victory in the men's 800 meters final, setting a new personal best and world-leading time of 1:41 seconds. Now, this achievement marks the fastest time recorded globally since the retirement of David Rudisha. At just 19 years old, Wanyonyi now holds the third fastest time in history, trailing only Rudisha's world record and his own second best. Now, following his reinstatement to the final by Athletics Kenya after the fall in the semi-finals, Wanyonyi expressed relief and determination, fulfilling his promise with an outstanding performance. Emma Raducanu advances to her first semi-final since 2022 at the Nottingham Open after Fran Jones withdrew from their quarter-final clash. Raducanu showcased strong form upon her return from a 6-week break to prepare for the grass court season, securing victories over Ena Shibahara and Daria Sniger en route to the quarterfinals. The anticipated match against Jones on Saturday was halted as her compatriot withdrew due to a shoulder injury. Now, this sets the stage for an all-British showdown between Raducanu and defending champion Katie Boulter later in the day. Jones initially scheduled to face Raducanu on Friday before rain interrupted the play, opted to withdraw due to her injury upon waking on Saturday. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that National Assembly has contemplated legislation to sanction non-compliant states on new minimum wage. We also told you that 8 persons have died after heavy rains in Côte d'Ivoire. Finally, you heard that South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to unveil inclusive coalition cabinet. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.